Hi, guys. Hi, Death by Southwest listeners. I am coming to you at 7:30 on a Thursday from my kitchen. I just got done recording a bonus episode with Brandon for his podcast, which I know is annoying because I made time to do a bonus episode for his podcast and not for my own. But this is going to, I know that I was supposed to do one yesterday. Look, I said probably no mini crime story this week. So I'm sure nobody's crying themselves to sleep about no bonus episode. If you just love hearing me ramble, then you're probably already on Patreon. And I've recorded a bunch of morning walking and talking and rambling bonus episodes on there. So basically, though, I do feel bad when when I say I'm going to do something and then I don't, which did happen this week. Yesterday just got away from me. It was just too busy. I'm working on a special project for Jim, and unfortunately, that comes has to come first before bonus episodes, not before the Tuesday episodes, which I'm not going to miss any. Mark and I will be in Flagstaff this coming Tuesday, so I'm going to record it tomorrow, schedule it. So business as usual with Tuesday. And I think we're going to try and do a bonus episode in Flagstaff at our cool Airbnb. We're going to try and do it on video together. So I know everybody's super pumped about seeing Mark and I record a bonus episode. So because I have not checked the email, I have not checked the DMs, I have not looked at the voicemails or text messages. Although human GPS, if you are listening, I feel so bad because I have occasionally seen, I happen to like be looking at my phone when you send a text message to the Google number. And so it'll pop up at the top. And I've like caught glimpses. So I know you're sending information and corrections and feedback, and you always have such good information. And I usually share it on here, but I have once again fallen short on checking DMs and if you've taken the time to send a DM, to send an email, to send a voicemail, I am sorry. I feel like an asshole because it's kind of you that you're listening and that you're taking the time to reach out, and then I'm not even checking it. So all I can do is keep trying to improve. I'm going to try and improve. I'm hoping I improved on Tuesday with the mouth sounds. I haven't seen any comments yet. So, you can leave comments on Spotify, like on the app episode. It doesn't have to be a comment. On Apple, you can only comment on the podcast as a whole, like leave a review. You can't leave it for a specific episode, but on Spotify, you can. So, if you're listening to an episode and you have something you are dying to get off your chest, you can go over to Spotify and comment on that episode, and I will see it. I would love for someone to tell me if Tuesday's episode sounded less mouthy, I guess. Um, so Brandon's podcast, I've been doing the bonus episodes with him. I'm going to give you a brief breakdown of his podcast because since I don't have a bonus episode for you this week, except for this, brief moment of me chit-chatting, I am going to post the video episode that myself and him just recorded on Death by Southwest YouTube. So you can go watch it or listen to it. And I think you'll be able to understand it without having heard any of the other episodes. I mean, his this season 4 of his podcast, The Devil Within, is really good. They're all the seasons are good. I'm just really enjoying this one. It's about the Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez. His podcast is completely different than this, super different style. I mean, it's scripted. There are no ums. There's music. It's very highly produced. It's really well done. And the Night Stalker is a super fascinating case. If you don't know anything about the Night Stalker, in order to listen to this episode 4 bonus episode, all you really need to know is that the Night Stalker was a psychopathic serial killer who terrorized LA in the 80s, had many different modes of killing, he didn't have an MO, basically. His MO was no MO. He killed people in totally different ways, old, young, black, white, female, male. It didn't matter. So that's really all you need to know. This episode 4, I feel like we talked more in generalities. We talked about the 80s. We talked about the Just Say No drug campaign in the 80s. We talked about fences, not fences that separate like the yard, but like if you steal something, you get a fence to sell it for you. We talked about a lot of more general things than specifics from the episode. So if you're dying for more content and you're irritated that I didn't put out a bonus episode, again, I'm sure that is no one. But if there are any people who feel that way, I'm going to publish that episode 4 bonus episode that Brandon and I just did about his podcast on Death by Southwest YouTube because I think we had an interesting conversation. I think all the bonus episodes we've done are interesting, but some of them are more specific. So in this season 4 of The Devil Within, he it's about the Night Stalker, and each episode he tells a little bit more of the Night Stalker's story, but each episode relates to a different circle of hell from Dante. And so this, I can't remember. I think we've covered Lust and Glutton. Why can't I remember the ones we've covered? We've covered several. I'm going to tell you right now what we've covered. The Devil Within. Let's go to the show. So we have covered, yes, Limbo, Lust, Gluttony, and Greed. And so he relates each episode to a different circle of hell from Dante. And it's really interesting. I've never read Dante. I don't know anything. I really didn't know anything about it. So I've learned a lot, and I've learned a lot about the Night Stalker. And I've been enjoying the podcast. So it's a very successful podcast. I don't need to be promoting it, but I am. And if you want to watch episode 4 or listen to it, you can go over to Death by Southwest YouTube. All of these bonus episodes are also on his YouTube. I'll provide a link, I guess. And other than that, it's 7:30 at night, so I'm not going to jump into emails, DMs, and stuff right now. Possibly tomorrow. I have a slightly lighter day tomorrow, so maybe tomorrow I'll do that. But I just feel guilty because I didn't put out a bonus yesterday, and today you're just getting this. So I'm going to put this audio in the podcast feed, and I'll put the link to the YouTube. So if you want to go listen or watch that bonus episode, and otherwise stay tuned. There will be a new crime episode of Death by Southwest on Tuesday, and Mark and I are going to try and record a bonus episode in Flagstaff this weekend. We have a really cool looking Airbnb, so I'm going to try and do it on video. We'll see how that goes. I know everybody's very excited to see Mark and I talk about nothing in our Airbnb. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I don't have. I've been immersed in work for the past 2 weeks pretty heavily, and then I was also immersed in sickness. And I can't talk about the little project I'm doing for Jim right now, but as soon as I can, I certainly will. And don't worry, I'm not going to let the Tuesday episodes suffer. Unfortunately, some weeks maybe the bonus episode will, but like I said, I know a lot of people don't give a shit about that anyways. And I guess that's it. I don't want to sit here and just try and come up with things to mumble about to you. I'm going to make some dinner and watch The Rookie and go to bed super early. And I hope you guys are all having a lovely week. Apologies again for no bonus this week. The silence is because I'm trying not to say and fill the space, the empty air space, but I'm going through my head all the things that I wanted to talk about. I do realize that on here, as as much as it may not seem like it, the bonuses where I'm just chit chatting, it may not seem like I'm censoring myself or filtering what I say, but I am because if you've listened to the Patreon, you know that at least 1 or 2 days a week on my morning walk with the dogs, I just record myself and I just talk. I just talk about whatever comes into my head and or whatever happened over the weekend or whatnot. And there's like zero filter. And so I never really have a shortage of things to talk about because I'm just blah, 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 blah. Oh, this and this. And there's no, I'm not worried about my mouth sounds or saying, or, anything. It's just no filter. And as I'm sitting here, I'm thinking, well, how can I have nothing to talk about? And I'm like, well, I do, but this is a much more public forum than the Patreon. So, and people are far more critical on, on here. So I am trying to keep it more filtered, I guess I'll say. And like that. So I will talk to you guys this weekend. What I'd love to do is say bonus episodes will be out whenever they're out. Like whenever I do one, I'll publish it. Like if Mark and I do a bonus episode on Sunday night in Flagstaff, I'll publish it Sunday night, rather than having a specific day. But I also think that people don't like that. And that annoys people. So I had a list of things I wanted to talk about here. Sexual assault. That seems heavy for right now. I think I talked about Captain Fantastic before. Did I? I believe I did. And and I think I mentioned this before and I never ended up getting to it. This article that I read in the New York Times about a singer that I don't even really know who she is, but it was the whole article was about it really pissed me off because the whole article was about not about her talent, not about how she became famous, not about how hard she worked. It was about her debating like how we should see her. Should we see her as like a like not a child, but like an innocent young an innocent young woman, almost like oh, what's the fucking word I'm looking for? Or do we see her as this sex object? Or do we see her as it pissed me off so much. And I'll find the link and I'll include it in this show notes for this. Why is this still a conversation? Why are we still in a well-respected publication like the New York Times? Why are we picking apart what a woman should be, what she should look like, how she should act on stage, what's appropriate or not appropriate for her? Like, what the fuck? Are we not past this? She's a talented performer, singer, songwriter. Focus on that. Like, let's talk about that. Let's not talk about what she's wearing, how big her boobs are, whether her hair is short or straight or long, or like the singer was Sabrina Carpenter, who I mean, I know who she is ish, but not really. But like, I don't really know much about her. I would have much preferred to hear about her struggles in life or her accomplishments in life or her opinions on anything, really, rather than read about how women are viewed and how that's changed and how it keeps changing and how it's fair or unfair or and I believe a man wrote the article, which pissed me off even more. And I'm not trying to sound like a man hating person because I don't, but it must have it's pissing me off again now that I'm looking at these notes. I wrote this down a couple weeks ago to talk about because it's just I don't know. It just really it pisses me off and shocks me all the same that women are subject to this type of analysis and criticism and speculation and opinions. It's so much less that happens to men than women. And it just, I think I saw several other things that were kind of related to this or adjacent to this in that same day. So then I opened this article and it's depicting like, well, she wore this and it was a little bit provocative, but is she supposed to be provocative? Like she's supposed to be whatever she wants to be. Leave her the fuck alone. It like, it kind of like compounded on each other. I must have been watching something on TV and then read this article and it just, all in all, it just really pissed me off. That's all. That's the whole point. Yeah, that's all I had for that. So thank you for letting me just vent about that for little to no reason except for that it pissed me off. There was really no connection to anything else I've talked about in this episode, which is par for the course with these bonus episodes. And it's late and I'm tired. And that's the honest truth. I'm tired and I'm hungry. And I hope that you will check out Brandon's podcast. I've really enjoyed this season 4, and I enjoy doing the bonus episodes with him. I told him I feel like I'm in college again because I listen to it, I take notes, I type them up, I print them out, and then I like have discussion questions to ask him and stuff. And it reminds me of, one or two of the few college classes that I actually really enjoyed, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So maybe I should do the same thing here because I could easily ask him to come on Death by Southwest with me and we break down the episodes. I just don't know. Like, I don't think he'll like, I know he's heard Death by Southwest before, but I don't think he'll like the episodes. It's, as you know, if you're listening to this, Death by Southwest is more of an acquired taste. It's not a very polished, it's not scripted. It's just me doing the best I can to tell a story. Oh, there was in somebody's review, they said I'm a bad storyteller, which fair. I mean, to each their own. Everybody gets their own opinion. That may be true. But I really want to be a good storyteller. So that one, I felt that one. And I'm going to try to improve. I'm never going to script this, but I'm going to try to improve. And, I have a lot that I could say if I were willing to talk about certain things on this podcast, but I'm not. Oh, you want to know what? I'm going to end on this. Today on Jim's show, we had Stephen Baldwin on. And if you're my age, you probably know who he is. He was actually in Half Baked with Jim, but I know him best from Biodome. He was also in The Usual Suspects. I mean, he's been in a bunch of movies. If you're younger than me, you might not know who that is. I had the biggest crush on him when he was in Biodome. Him and Pauly Shore. I loved that movie. And so he came on the podcast today to talk to Jim, and it was so interesting. And last week we had Scott Baio on, who was like Charles in Charge, Happy Days. And it's really interesting to see these people that I saw on TV when I was young. I mean, Scott Baio, I was young, like 8, 9, 10. And Stephen Baldwin, I was teenager, I guess, young teenager. But it's really interesting to see and hear them today. So that episode won't be out for a while. I don't know if anybody here listens to Jim's podcast, but it was cool. It was really interesting to see, and also really weird because Brandon has worked a lot with Alec Baldwin and Steven's brother, and so I have met him via Zoom and stuff before, and it's just weird, like to I'm saying meet with air quotes, virtually meet, and I'm a producer. Nobody gives a shit. I'm not really meeting them, but to meet two people who are like from the same acting family, it's interesting. All right, now I'm just filling the space. So I'm gonna go. If you want something to listen to, I will include the link to Brandon's podcast feed and also to our YouTube and Brandon's YouTube in the show notes. So you can just click and go listen to his podcast, listen to the bonus episodes I've done with him, Or you can just wait until next week when a new crime episode comes out or a bonus episode with myself and Mark in Flagstaff. And anybody who happens to be in Flagstaff on Sunday, Monday, or Tuesday of this coming week, let me know. I mean, I'm doing a terrible job checking DMs and emails and stuff, but I'm going to before we leave. So I don't know. Let me know somehow that you're in Flagstaff. Maybe grab a drink. And if you have any great suggestions for things to do in Flagstaff, I'd also love to hear those. Okay, guys, I do love you all, even the people who leave mean comments. I love you too, because you're just helping to make me be better at this. And those of you who leave nice comments, I love you as well. And I hope you guys have a delightful Friday. I have lipstick on my teeth. Ay, ay, ay. I'm a mess at this point at night. Have a delightful Friday and weekend. And that's it. Good night. Love you. Bye.